Hey, it's Kamilescu and welcome again to Mixers Insight. Today we'll review still hot product from Omnitronic. It's a 2-channel rotary mixer model TRM-222. The nice thing is I received this device straight from Omnitronic company. I think it's meaningful and I appreciate the transparency. Another interesting thing is that we'll compare the older product from Omnitronic. It's also 2-channel rotary model TRM-202. And we'll see the differences between older one and new model. Straight away I can say that there are many differences, many significant differences, so this will be very interesting and deep dive. Omnitronic TRM-222 is a mixer packed with features. 2 types of meters, freeband customizable channel EQ, freeband isolator low and high pass filter, FX loop, removable crossfader and even volume control for record out. I think that it only lacks a TV. We'll see how some of those functions were implemented, look at overall quality of components and measure some key aspects of this device. At first glance the mixer looks pretty tidy, there is considerable amount of cables that connect the separate boards, but it looks well organized. So let's start from the very beginning of signal path and examine the input-output board. This board consists mostly of input and output PCB mounted connectors and has a phono preamp on board. The connectors seem to be solid enough, but they are not parts from top manufacturers and it's natural in this price range. The phono preamp is a single-stage active solution. I think this is the most common way of dealing with phono signals in mixers. This preamp is very similar to the one in the older TRM-202. It uses ceramic capacitors, unlike the 202, which has film capacitors in the rear filter. Identical case was considered by me in the Eclair video. Long story short, it's hard to judge which caps are superior in this case without knowing the exact type. If it's NP0 ceramic, it will be for sure better than polyester film capacitor, but comparable to polypropylene film capacitor. If it's X5R or X7R ceramic, it's worse than any film type. Such capacitors cause distortion and suffer from piezoelectric effect. They should not be used in audio filtering, for example in phono rear EQ. In the new TRM-222 they also removed the trim pot from the phono preamp. One unnecessary potentiometer less. Now let's jump to the channel boards, the key to understanding the main standout feature of the TRM-222. Channel board has 2 things that I've never really seen in any other analog rotary mixer. First thing is customizable channel EQ characteristic. With 3 dip switches you can tune the amount of cut from -9 dB to full kill, and there are in-between settings present here. This makes the EQ section super flexible. I will measure this later in this video. Another thing that makes this mixer unique is VCA volume control. This solution makes it different not only from TRM-202 but from all rotary mixers on the market. If you know any other rotary mixer that uses VCAs, I'd be curious to hear about it. This mixer uses DAT Corporation VCAs and exactly the same are present in Xone 92 mixers. The idea is to prevent the signal from flowing through the mechanical part and use potentiometer as volume chip controller. Let's examine the isolator board now. The first thing that we obviously see here are big blue ALP spots. The isolator circuitry used here has 18 dB per octave steepness. It's based on 4580 op-amps like almost every circuit in this mixer. I couldn't determine the type of capacitors used, but I'm almost sure it's cheaper polyester film type. Omnitronic wasn't able to give me this info. A positive thing that caught my eye is the ferrites on the power lines used to suppress potential noise. Also a great feature is ISO jumper that allows you to monitor the effect of isolator on headphones. I instantly used it. Time for the Masterboard. I will not show you all of it, only the most interesting things that I've spotted. Masterboard mainly consists of output circuits, but it also has a microphone preamp and the filter. The filter is a revival of good old SSM2164 circuitry that was also implemented in early Xone 92 models. It's known for its warm, punchy sound. If you want to know the exact circuit, I'm pretty sure you will find it in this very useful note. Other thing that caught my eye were some transistors near the output op-amps. This is wrongly implemented muting circuit to prevent pop during startup. They overlooked it during the product testing phase and now, thanks to me, they found out about it. The transistors mute the inputs instead of outputs. Old saying, shit happens. The good news is that a lot of mixers have this pop anyway and that Omnitronic will fix this. What we see now is headphone amp. It uses 1 double op-amp per channel, so 2 outputs are paralleled, giving more output current. TRM-202 didn't use this technique. 1 double op-amp handled both channels. I will measure those amps later. Now let's see how this device is powered. Under the metal casing hides the power supply that is identical to the one used in TRM-202, and I think that Omnitronic powers a lot of their stuff with this universal unit. Metering doesn't need any comment besides congratulations to marketing department. The last thing I want to show you is crossfader and a pretty smart way of allowing the user to get rid of it. I also did it instantly. Time for the most controversial thing that I do on this channel. Let's measure it. Minus 74 dB of THD. That's very different than TRM-202 and we'll examine it more. With the filter on, it's minus 71 dB, slight degradation. Pushing it to the limits, we'll get about minus 69 dB of THD. Come on, did you just smile? I made some more measurements to better understand this mixer, but mostly to better understand the difference between the newer TRM-222 and older TRM-202. First thing I wanted to check is that if they got rid of this problem that was in TRM-202, because in TRM-202 there are two types of line inputs. There is a shared line input that is shared with phono input, so you have this phono line switch, and there is a dedicated line input that accepts only line sources. And there was a difference in performance between those types of line inputs. I wanted to check if it's the same case in TRM-222, and yes, unfortunately it's the same case. The dedicated line input performs better than a shared one. Here we can see higher level of harmonics. The third harmonic is higher, and here we have more harmonics, and in a dedicated input the harmonics, higher order harmonics, are non-existent. So if you want to achieve best performance with line sources, always use a dedicated line input in this mixer. The next thing I measured is linked with the filter, because unfortunately in this mixer the filter clicks when you turn it on and off, and one of the methods of avoiding these clicks I know is just keeping the filter constantly on, and when not using it, just turning the frequency knob to 0 position. And I wanted to check by measuring frequency response. I wanted to check if turning the filter on caused the frequency roll-off. So yes, in the minimum frequency knob position there is a significant roll-off. For it's here we have like minus 4.5 dB, so for 40 Hz we already lose like 10 dB. So yeah, there is a significant roll-off, so you are forced to turn the filter on and off to maintain the flat frequency response. So let's get into more interesting measurements. They will show us differences between those two mixers, but first I wanted to show you a loopback measurement to show you the capabilities of my measurement system. I was able to measure THD for 1 kHz with great precision, because I have a very low distortion 1 kHz generator, as well as high performance analog to digital converter. But unfortunately, when I measure distortion in the whole audio band, I'm not able to perform super precise measurement, but I think that this gear is decent enough for us to notice the differences, and you'll see it later, because we'll actually see those differences. So first let's check THD for THD versus frequency for TRM-202, so the older model. I already showed this graph in my Rain video when I was comparing Rain and Omnitronic, and first I noticed that THD figures for 1 kHz were very similar, but the overall sound character of those two mixers is different. so I wanted to just dig deeper, make a measurement for THD across the whole band, and it was visible that those mixers were very different. Here in TRM-202 we can notice that the frequency, mid frequencies and low frequencies have really low distortion, and it's the distortion is pretty flat here across this frequency region, but then we start to notice high frequency distortion bump. So overall, between 20 Hz and 20 kHz, the distortion is not even. Here we have this bump. So let's see how it looks like in TRM-222. Yeah, it's very different. In TRM-222, the first thing we notice is that the overall distortion is higher. We already noticed it making this measurement THD versus 1 kHz. So now in the whole frequency band we see also that the overall distortion is just higher. But we also can see that it's higher, but it's even across the whole band. Last thing I wanted to show you is the impact of this switch that regulates the characteristics of channel EQ. I measured it in two different positions. So the first position was the lowest cut and lowest boost, and here we can see it. So for example, when you leave the low frequencies at 0 and cut the entire high and mids, like turn the high and mid knobs to 0 position, you have something around 10 dB attenuation. In the very different switch position, the channel EQ behaves like isolator EQ. You can consider this frequency cutting as full kill. So yes, this mixer offers you a lot of options of shaping the sound and making fine tuning for your taste. From very slight EQ to isolator, yeah, it's a lot of options. I like this. I promised to measure the headphone amps. I wanted to see if parallel outputs of TRM-222 give more power than a single op-amp used in 202. I measured the level with 32 ohm loading when THD started to reach 1%. 32 ohm load simulates the headphones. We've got 180 mW from 202 headphone amp. Now let's see how it looks like in 222. 330 mW, so paralleling the outputs help to gain more output power. So to quickly sum up this video, Omnitronic TRM-222 is a very decent mixer that offers a lot of functions and is very different than the older 202 model. The measurements show that it's definitely not transparent and the level of distortion is closer to coloring mixers than transparent ones. Also, please remember that you simply can't judge audio devices basing only on measurements. This device is excellent as a first mixer for users who want to get familiar with most of the options available in analog DJ mixers. Its main biggest drawback is clicking when the filter is being engaged. If you're looking for an engineer who can help with this, I'm here. Thank you very much for taking your time and watching this video. I hope it was useful and informative for you. Apologies for not talking much about the sound, but as I mentioned in my very first video, I won't talk much about the sound because I consider it subjective. I consider it a matter of taste. And on this channel I want to focus on engineering perspective. On this channel I want to focus on facts. If you are looking for some sound reviews, sound impressions, you'll find tons of them on the web, on YouTube, etc. Mixers Inside is a place about sound gear without talking about sound. It's a bit weird, but I hope it makes sense for you. So last words are good luck making right decisions, and see you next time.